right, let's have another episode of the Unshakable podcast. Are you ready for this, Amber?
I am so excited for today.
I love this. What's on my heart today that I'd really love to talk about is adult friendships. And so, just to open up this conversation, what I've been thinking about is how many times I've heard somebody say, I left the church that I was going to and nobody talks to me anymore. Or I changed jobs. This happened with a client of mine like last week. Yeah, it was last week. He had to leave his job because of illness, injury, and nobody reaches out to him. And you can go on in different contexts. And for a long time, I was like, why is that? And it really came to me because people are like, they were never really my friends in the first place, is really the story that comes up in people's minds. And I was like, that cannot be universally true that because this is a very repetitive situation, is when you leave or change seasons, your relationships change with you. And I began to notice this one thing, and it's that most adult friendships come because you're aligned and on the same mission. And so when you're going through a season change, or when you're changing where you go to church or where you work or where you have community at or where you're networking at, all those different places, it's not that you didn't have good friendships. You just don't have the continuing mission together. I know for me and my friendships, to be my friend, just because I'm zoned in on business, coaching, and my family. That's what I'm doing right now. So I'm either working, training, or loving on the people in my household. That is just where I'm at. So my friends need to be on mission with me. Like they just have to be on mission with me. And I wonder how many times our little hearts get hurt because of a change of season, or because adult friendships are very different than young friendships that are like, I spent from kindergarten all the way up to ninth grade with this person. They were my best friend. And they had all these years together. But at the same time, it's also, I'm doing the ping pong bouncing, is you get those special, specific people that know one or two in your whole life usually, that no matter what season you're in, they just fit. You're that person for me, Amber. We've had a friendship for over 20 years now. And we've both been through radically different seasons from one another. I still remember you gave birth to twins. I was not giving birth at that time. Those are very different seasons. But we remained in relationship like this entire time. And so those are just a couple of things I've been thinking about. Amber, what do you think about adult friendships?
Man, I think we have to reimagine them, honestly, right? Because it is this idea too of in our busyness and in the middle of what we're pursuing, we still have this expectation that everyone caters to us, right? And so it is, I left my job and nobody calls and follows up. Did you call and follow up? Did you? And so there are these expectations that I think we have that friendship looks a certain way. And I loved your ping pong because there's so many nuances to adult friendships, right? Like where it's like we've got to be in alignment and we've got to be in proximity. That's a huge thing for adult friendships. But then also we're going to find these ones that really stick and last forever. And so how do we navigate the changing season and hold our friends loosely? And I think I often think about that when people come into my life, I could white knuckle it and we will be friends forever. I will make sure this lasts and this is what our friendship will look like. And I'm predetermining it's going to be this deep and it's going to be all of these things. And then when jobs change or people move or babies are born, things happen, there are very few friendships that really do withstand those changes. But if we can hold our friends loosely, then I bless you as you go into your next season. And I'm not taking it personally. And so I know in our company, we had this where people changed. We experienced some loss. And it was really easy for me to navigate, honestly. Did it sting a little? Sure. Saying goodbye to people isn't fun. It's not easy, but it wasn't devastating for me. And I
You're
think
good
it's
at this.
because, yeah, like I had learned to hold them loosely and to love. And when they left, it didn't reflect on me. It just I didn't even let it reflect on them. Really, it just was the season is changing. And so I think that when we can come into these things like, what is this season and how long does it last? And the interesting thing about seasons and our friendship, Rebecca, is like looking back when it started over 20 years ago, like 25 years ago now. Oh my gosh, we're not that old. It's, at the time, I didn't know that it was going to be a forever friendship. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't, and so I wasn't trying to force it into a forever friendship. It was, again, held really loosely. And we had seasons where we would go months without seeing each other or hearing from each other. And so I think that brings up this whole other aspect of these secure attachments
Yes.
because I knew I could reach out to you because I knew that you loved me and I knew that you would be there, right? And so that was that secure attachment. Man, maybe it's been a few months because I've been changing 2 sets of diapers and not sleeping, right? But if I reach out, I know that she's going to respond because I know that I'm important to her. And that goes both ways. Man, I feel like there's a lot to unpack here. Rebecca, what are you thinking now as we're digging into this?
Those attachment styles are fascinating and so important. I'm so grateful, Amber, that you've actually studied those and really have an understanding of them. That might be one aspect that really fits in. Another aspect is this idea of reframing how we're looking at things. I love how you said, I hold these friendships loosely, like no matter what. And that's really important to know because I've seen so many people have such deep heartache and have gone into actual anger and bitterness and resentment. And I guarantee you there was no intentional harm done on either side. It was simply like my client, he doesn't work there anymore. And so these guys are first responders. And so they're running into buildings, like they're doing all these heroic things, and he's unable to be with them. And so they're moving forward with the mission that they're on, with saving lives, with moving things forward. And it was fun to walk through some of those mindsets and some of those thoughts of, okay, I'm angry. They're all the upset. And I'm like, is that true? That they don't care about you and they should reach out to you.
Mm.
That was actually the saying. They should have reached out to me.
Wow.
And I'm like, is that true? And I'm like, is that really true? And then just kind of sitting with that just for a moment of this thought is incredibly stressful for you to live in the midst of. So what if we turn that thought around and ended up just as you said, Amber? It should be, I should reach out to them. Because every relationship we have is a mirror to ourselves in a different way. We can learn a lot by looking at what we see in others. And so looking at the people that we really respect, admire, love, all that, tells us a lot about our own values and our own priorities and what our own needs are. When we look at somebody who we do not respect, do not admire, it can actually really tell us a ton about what we will take a stand for. Or it tells us sometimes, I've seen this with a few clients now, I've watched them do it. They're in such self-judgment and shame that they reflect that on other people. They start to see that in other people. I'm like, they're not this. I'm like, are you that? They don't operate with integrity. I was like, is there ever a time when you haven't operated with integrity? And when I say integrity, is being true to yourself and true to others. And how many of us betray ourselves on a regular basis? I know I just did the other day. I betrayed myself because I was sitting on a call and it was completely life ending. It felt like it just was not aligned and the energy was draining. And what did I do? I stayed there, I served, I loved, and I kept going on this conversation. And at the end, I was like, oh, because I betrayed myself. I didn't create a boundary. I didn't, and boundaries, sometimes I hate that word because boundaries a lot of times are an excuse to get our need for certainty met. I'm going to push you away so that I can feel safe. That's not a good boundary. A boundary is set there to protect a relationship. And so there's been times, even with my husband, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to set this boundary because I know if I cross that boundary, that would actually be damaging to our relationship because I'd be violating myself. And he'd be like, that's a totally different perspective. It's a way to stay in closeness, stay in intimacy that way. And so it really is a plot twist when you start to think about it that way. And you have to think about, am I pushing people away because of what's going on inside of me? Am I self-protecting? What's going on there? So it really is interesting to hear people who are like, they were my close friends. I love them so much. And all this, I've never personally reached back out to them, but they should have reached out to me. I've even heard it. They think the church is bad because of this very aspect. They'll actually just walk away from all kinds of community because of this aspect. But I realize it goes across faiths. It goes across, it's just adult relationships and how they roll. And I know for me, I'm on a mission, man. I can't just be divided all over the place. And those are some of the thoughts alongside that attachment when we're thinking about long-term friendships. I heard it said once, it was a good friend of mine, and I thought we'd be friends forever, but I haven't talked to him in months, honestly. And it's because our seasons completely changed where we're at. But it's not because I don't love him, and it's not because he doesn't love me. It's because our seasons changed. He did say that he had heard it from, I think it was a psychologist friend of his, is that you're lucky if you have one or two of those long-term relationships in your entire life. And so we can't be longing for them, though. I loved how you highlighted that, Amber, is you can't, when I met you, I just met you. It had nothing to do with, I'm going to be with her for 20 years plus. That thought never crossed our mind. We just started doing life. And then grace took over. And I think there's something about the call of a long-term friendship like that has grace on it. I don't think it can be even intentional. It just builds. So what are your thoughts, Amber? I've done a bunch of spilling the beans there.
I have so many more beans to spill. Oh, so I do want to jump on that idea of like when we leave a church or a job and we're like, they didn't reach out. I had that experience. I served as the children's pastor for 3 years. Things got heavy and we stepped away, me and my family, from that church. And it was crickets. And of course, naturally, right? Like my human nature is, what is going on? I saw you every Sunday. I served your kids, and now you act like I don't exist. But it's funny because then in town, you run into those people. And I think that when we have this perspective of you hurt me, you should have called me, you clearly didn't love me, and then we see them at the grocery store, it's awkward. And it's like,
I've run down like several aisles just to get away.
yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Your kids are great at, Mom, there's that person. What do you want to do? Gosh. But on the flip side of that, if we can keep ourselves open, and sometimes staying open hurts. It does, right? Like there's a risk that comes with that. But if we can stay out of that judgment and finger pointing, and then we're at Walmart and we run into someone, then it can be it's so good to see you, right? I've got 30 seconds. Tell me how you're doing. And I just think we might be surprised if we don't completely shut that door and point fingers, like what can happen. And you never know with the church, you might end up going to a new church and there they are, right? And then you're reconnected again and that season starts over, or they switch jobs too. Like things evolve. Change is always happening. And so part of being unshakable is keeping ourselves in the midst of that really tenderhearted and pure. And I think that looks like I'm not pointing my fingers at you and blaming you, and I'm still open.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And so I think we could, for all those of you who have had those awkward grocery store moments,
Well, we
where,
all have. Let's be honest. Show of hands, put a comment below the
right,
episode. We've all done it where it's, oh shoot, now I can't go get my canned green beans because so and so is at that aisle. Let's come back on the way by. I have so done that.
oh,
I
that's the
need to be
worst.
more brave about that because you're right. Chances are they feel just as awkward as I do, and it is an opportunity to bridge that gap.
Yeah,
Because sometimes we reject before we can be rejected.
for
And I
sure.
think you're saying sometimes that hurts. And I would agree with you, but it's also the tension of being in mystery.
Yeah.
And it really is an invitation to adventure. When you have that, it's an invitation to adventure. And really, in our bodies, we feel fear is the same as excitement. And so, if we can turn the meaning we're giving that into I'm excited instead of I'm terrified, get me out of here. I so resonated with that. Everyone's just so
Oh.
resonated with that. It could really change the trajectory of the entire thing. And what if it looked like a friendship started, like a real friendship outside of a context?
Yeah.
And what are the possibilities that could be there as a result? And what are the possibilities you're just leaving on the table because you don't want to be in uncertainty?
Yeah, it's so true. And Rebecca, I love what you brought up about boundaries. And I've heard it a couple different ways lately. And one of them is for boundaries, we're taking care of our side of the street.
Huh.
And I really like that because it's, yeah, this is right. This is mine. I'm going to take care of it because it contributes to the overall look and feel and health of the entire neighborhood or the entire relationship. And so stepping out of that self-protection and into how do we protect this relationship? How do we keep this connection safe? And that really sparked in me. I have a few friends that have been walking through another friend's set that I know of that's been friends for 20 some odd years and been through so much together. And they were finding they were out of alignment in a couple of things. But instead of setting some good boundaries and protecting the relationship, the boundary became self-protective and it actually ended the relationship.
Oh,
And I really struggle with that on a like deep level. I have wrestled with that because I'm like, I don't think that it had to be that way. And of course, the person in that self-protection is there was no other way. And I'm like, oh, but I think there might have been. Like, what if you could have said, in order to protect this relationship, I can only speak on the phone for this amount of time, or I can only watch Marco Polos on Thursday afternoon, or whatever, like whatever it is, or I love that you want to start this group and I'll attend when I can, but I can't be there with you every step of the way. And so it's like these things that are out of alignment that can feel really big in the moment. And I know that it did. It felt like the slap in the face. But I don't think it needed to end a friendship. And I've watched that in my life in a couple different areas with some long-term friends. And I'm like, oh, I think that it just needed some good boundaries to protect the relationship. And I think that there needed to be an awareness of how close is this friend. Because when we want this friend to steward our whole heart and hear all of the things, and they just can't for whatever reason, and that's okay. But if we have that grace to be like, okay, this friend gets this much of my heart. Okay, so that's where they live, that's where they stay. I'm not putting these expectations on for something more or something grander. I'm not expecting us to be in complete alignment with every thought that we have and every feeling that we think, but we can still maintain connection.
yes.
And so I think, yeah, it really lights me up thinking about the friendships that are cast aside because of things that really just need a little bit of offense and a little bit of awareness.
And that is exactly why, like in our Peak Trail coaching framework, there's a whole unit on friendships. And it's because of this stuff is the relationship circles are so important. And that reminds me a little bit about that imagery that I had downloaded to my heart, that really talking about our levels of vulnerability. Because I was asking at the time, I was just like, I am such a vulnerable, authentic, raw person. How do I do that always and still have, I don't know, like a boundary per se?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that unless you're a stripper, you don't go naked on every public stage. And it's the same thing. I really got the imagery of what is the dress code for that situation. So, what is the dress code for this friendship? What do you wear to, like, I have a newer friend, more of an acquaintance, but I have to dress in more business, like upscale to be around her because that's just her genre. That's where she's at. Other friends, they want to do the pajamas. Like, I'm all good wearing pajamas with you. And we have to understand that. The same thing with our own vulnerability. And I think sometimes we go, because we're as adults, I think we get starved for relationship.
Yes.
I have noticed almost a pandemic on this thing. It's crazy. And the reason why I've noticed it is because I'm a tremendous listener. And when I'm a tremendous listener, people are like, they will let it all because we have a sharp shortage of people who will listen to another person. We are all looking to get our need for significance met by sharing what's on us and by really being out there and being heard. I need to be seen, heard, and loved. I need to be seen, heard, and loved. I need to be seen, heard, and loved. And that's this echo in the waters. And I really do ask all of you listeners, yes, you need to be seen, heard, known, and loved. I 100% agree. But what if it was that you also need to see, to hear, to know, and to love? What does it look like when both people in a relationship can come wanting to be curious and to know and understand the other one? Not just, I just need to express myself because okay, I'm going to get really vivid here for a second, but it's like you've been constipated for months and all of a sudden you've got diarrhea and you're like, here we go. And all of a sudden you've just plastered it all over somebody and the other person's just, okay, and my name is. And I think that what would it look like if we first showed up to listen, to hear, to know, and to love? And then by nature, when more people begin doing this, I think that's why we created this Unshakable Life community, is this place where people are reciprocal in knowing and seeing and talking to each other. Is so important in this day and age because nobody's doing it anymore. Nobody is. It's terrifying. It really is terrifying. And at best, we're having random text conversations and thinking that's relationship. In the meantime, we're not able to read body language. We're not able to understand the full context of what they're talking about. And we're trying to understand a human by a little yellow smiley face. Come on. That's not how it's going to work. The world is just dying for real relationship right now. And so then we get this where we change a season and we're like, uh-oh, who do I dump all my stuff with? What do I do? And it gets to be that just a really lonesome place. I saw you thinking. Let's hear it, Amber.
I was thinking, yes. I was thinking about that because you and I have that in common, right? Where we can meet someone and they tell us their life story.
No.
And I don't know, I have an 11-year-old daughter and she often, if we're out in public and then we walk away, she's like, Mom, how do you do that? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she gets someone to tell you things they've never told anyone else.
You have that way about you, though.
Right? I'm like, but my kids are always amazed by it. But it made me think, if every person that I ran into at Walmart or the coffee shop, I mean, it's everywhere, right? And they share their story with me, if I had in my mind this definition of now we're friends, now there's an expectation, now there's a right. And so I think there's this invitation here, and I'm trying to put it into English words because it's so in my heart right now. I'm trying to translate it. But like we have to have this internal boundary almost where we define what friendship looks like for us.
Oh, that's so good.
Because we're desiring these mutual relationships and they're not going to happen in abundance. They're just not, especially if you're a good listener, if you're warm and soft and safe, right? Or if you're on the opposite side and you're emotionally constipated and then you find someone that's warm and soft and safe and everything just flows. But I'm like, I wonder how many of those people would walk away from me and be like, oh, I met a new friend today.
Yes.
Because that's their internal narrative, right? I can walk away from those relationships and be like, I met someone really interesting today. And I got to hear some of their story, but I'm not labeling that as friendship because I know even in a brief interaction, that's not mutual. Even if that brief interaction is, can we do coffee sometime? Sure. I'm probably going to set a time limit, right? Like I got 90 minutes because this is likely not going to be mutual unless they surprise me, which could happen. But I'm even going to leave coffee and not be like, that person's my friend. Because I have an internal thing of this is what friendship looks like. This is what I'm looking for in a friend. And honestly, you guys, the bar is high. And I think that it has to be. I think that it has to be. And so it's okay to be friendly, but I don't have to label everyone as my friends.
Oh my gosh, Amber, if you labeled everyone your friend that you're friendly to, you're one of the friendliest people on earth.
I would
You're
have too
you're
many
like more
friends.
friendly than Disney World. I'm serious. So you would be like, you'd be drowning in friends. What do I do with all this? The expectation that I think to qualify somebody as a friend, there has to be a bilateral commitment, like really an understanding of, okay, we're this, I want to make this a friendship, and here's how I view friendship. Like it's almost a DTR,
It
really.
is, yeah.
Before,
Yeah.
because for me, the bar is high. You're extremely high. It didn't used to be. Now it just has to. Because I know so many people. I speak to people all over the world. They can't all be friends. They can definitely be great relationships. But even what is the context and the role of that relationship? Because a lot of times, some of my clients, they will think I'm their friend, but I think I'm their mentor and their coach. And that is a whole different relationship than having an expectation of a friendship and what that truly means. And because for me, if you're my friend, I'm committed. There's loyalty, there's faithfulness, there's heart stewardship. There's just so many aspects to that. I don't have the bandwidth or the time to be that committed to another without assurance of the reciprocity. And they also, like some of my qualifications, you have to have similar standards to me. Because I notice if we don't have the same standards, we're going to be malaligned. It's not going to work. If you like messes all over, I don't. It's like you get that roommate kind of feeling. I can't live with somebody who's a total slob. And there's a standard in my house, and I have high standards. And so that person needs to be able to run equally with me to be able to manage a friendship with me. But it's also, I am unable to look at the other person and force my standards upon them either. I have to be able to accept the person in front of me as they are right now. And my desperation to have a friend, I'm sorry, we get that way. It's it can't get in the way of looking for alignment, because that will cause so much pain if you're running in totally different directions trying to come together. It just doesn't work. You can totally adore the person, but you're just running in different directions. There's nothing bad, nothing wrong, nothing malicious there. Adult friendships are just dynamic,
Yeah.
intriguing. I approach them with curiosity all the time. Oh, I wonder what's going to become of this.
Yeah. And I think again that open-handed. I'm not going to white knuckle this. I'm not going to try to define this on my own. I think that's where we can get in trouble too, right? Oh, you're my friend now. But do you want to be my friend? Have we talked about what friendship looks like? And so I love that idea of that determine the relationship, define the relationship. I think that's really key. And I remember speaking to one of our clients, and she's going through some medical stuff right now. And so people are surrounding her in this really beautiful way. And she's, Amber, it's interesting. I didn't realize how many people that I knew because I have like weekly friends, right? Like that I'm talking to on a weekly basis. And then I have monthly friends that there are a couple of those friends that you see once a month. And then you have these twice a year friends, right? And then you have these friends like every 3 or 4 years, you're touching base or you're grabbing dinner or whatever. And I thought that was so refreshing, where it was like, oh, yes, right? And these people are surrounding her in her time of healing when what she's walking through, but she's recognizing like they're not all on the same level.
Yes.
And that's okay. That's okay. And I love that. And I just wanted to put that out there because I think that's such a breath of fresh air. Because I can name my monthly friends, I can name my weekly friends. And there are very few that are more than weekly friends, honestly.
Yes.
And that's okay because I have to create that space in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this conversation. I feel like it was long overdue.
Yeah.
And I hope our listeners are getting a lot of value. I think I want to sum it up in this way. We have got to get over our offense with other people when things are simply due to change in the world. They change season, you change season. They change directions, maybe you change life directions. It could be anything, and you can actually still be friends. Maybe you're monthly friends, maybe you're yearly friends. I had a friend that I saw her, we had a regular date. It was at Beefaroo in the Midwest, and it was all the time. And now my season completely changed, and we don't talk but once a year. She's still my friend. I would still say it's a friendship. It's just it's taking on a different dynamic. And so friends, when I say friends, when you're listening to this, I want to hear you to hear this. If you leave a job and those people don't follow you, it's your responsibility to reach back out if you want that to be a friendship in your new season. If you leave a church and you're angry because, oh, they're supposed to be the church and they're not reaching out to me and all they cared is what I could do for the church. And that, I'm telling you right now, as somebody who led a church for 10 years, it's a story you're believing. It is absolutely a story you're believing. And it just, all of this has to do with, are you able to run with me right now? Yes or no? And so we have to let go of the defensiveness. We have to let go of the rejection. We have to let go of our expectations over people and embrace really what's in front of us. And then when you're looking for those long-time friendships, it's grace. It's a knowing. It's an intuition. It's like somehow destiny keeps bringing you back together no matter what you do. It just keeps bringing you back together. And those are those ones I'm reminded that it was a Girl Scout song, or maybe it's the Brownies when I was little, of friendships. You keep those gold ones and you remember those, but you also embrace the silver, the new, the changed ones. It's make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold. That really resonated with me is, okay, there's friends that you keep forever and ever. But there's also ones that if you continue to white knuckle and hold on to them, you will be missing the amazing people that are right in front of you. So what if instead of resenting the past and being angry at the people who didn't stay with you, you still open up your hands and embrace what you can embrace right now? How many opportunities have you missed? And how many beautiful friendships have you missed because you're still holding on to something in the past? So those are my last thoughts. What about you, Amber?
Yeah, I don't know how I would wrap this up. I think we covered a lot, and I love the way that you summarized it. And I think it is just those seasons. Embrace the season. And I would say, really, this is the heart optimization coach coming in. Have those internal boundaries. This is what friendship looks like for me. And hold high standards. Let's normalize that. I'm tired of being told I'm high maintenance. Like, it's just not true. I have high standards. It's fine. because there are people that will meet and exceed them. And the people that don't, I'm still going to love and be kind to, but they might not be as close to my heart, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
So friendships are a thing. I think I would say one last thing. In Mel Robbins' book, Let Them,
Yes, I wanted to
she
pick up that book.
she has like at least 3 chapters, if I'm right, on adult friendships. And it was so good to read and
Mm.
to hear that perspective. And so if you haven't read that book, grab a hold of it. It's one of Rebecca and I's favorite. We were accidentally reading it at the same time, which was funny when we realized that. But it is gold. It is gold. And the way that she approaches adult friendships was really beautiful. And it really puts you back in the driver's seat of your friendships. While you let them, you let you. And I know I've had those moments where I meet someone new and I'm like, I think we could be friends. And so I'll just say to them, hey, I think we could be friends. Do you want to grab coffee? Let's see where this goes. And that's part of what I gleaned from that book, Let Them. Because it's let's take this adventure and see what happens.
I love it. Thank you for adding that. You do have a lot of wisdom in that, Amber. I've seen you navigate many relationships over the years, and you do a tremendous job of being able to attach and also know where not to, and have that discernment and have that respect for others. So there's no better person to be on this podcast episode talking about this topic than you. And I agree. Pick up Mel Robbins, that book, Let Them Theory. It really simplifies, and sometimes those words just need to sit. Let them, then let me. Simple as that. Simple, but still read the book. It is simple as that, though. Very helpful resource for you. I encourage everybody to take a look at that. So, free promotion. We love you, Mel Robbins. Thank you so much for bringing that into our lives. It's been an incredible benefit. With that, let's wrap it up. I hope that all of you can see how adult friendships can be very different than when you're growing up as a kid and what they can mean for you today. I really encourage you to just, if you're really confused in your friendships right now, or if you're like, I don't know what season I'm in, I don't even know who I am as a friend right now, check in with us. This is what we eat, these problems for breakfast. We know this stuff, and we would love to come alongside and help you. All right. So another awesome, raw, real, transparent conversation between two great friends. We bless you guys. We'll talk to you soon.